What's rattling? Okay, no, it's just some element of the driveline. Nothing to worry about. I'm Eddie Alterman, Editor-in-Chief of Car and Driver, and this is my 1983 Mercedes-Benz 300D, turbo diesel. Yeah, I've always sort of been a Mercedes guy. I shouldn't be biased as the editor of a magazine, but I had a 124, which was the successor to this car. I bought it from my uncle. My uncle also had one of these, and I remember riding around in it when I was a kid and being sort of amazed at the feel of it as compared to the Oldsmobiles and Cadillacs that my dad was driving at the time. It just felt way more solid. It smelled differently. It rode differently. It had that great Mercedes float. I didn't know how to characterize it at the time. I didn't know what to call it, but I certainly recognized it as distinct and different and a higher level of quality. And what I think is so interesting about these cars is, you know, people think of Mercedes-Benzes as luxury cars, but it's not the luxury of opera windows and velour. It's really a luxury of never having to fix it. Luxury of really, really high quality and amazing engineering, and this car still feels totally over-engineered. I love the simplicity of this car's design. It's very elegant, it's very simple. It really seems that the car wasn't sort of designed, it was really wrapped around its mechanicals. And I think there's an honesty and a purity to that. I mean, this is not a pristine example. This is not the finest 300D you'll ever see by a long, long shot. It has tons of problems, but it's got a ton of charm and it still runs great. Still keeps up with traffic and still starts every time. Well, the story of this car is that I was drunkenly searching eBay one evening because I wanted a 123. I had just seen this promotional video that Justin Berkowitz posted on the web, and it was the 123 going through all its shakedown tests. And I was like, oh man, that thing looks so great. So I went home that night, poured myself a glass of whiskey, and foolishly started looking for cars on eBay. And I threw down a unwise bid on this car, and I just sort of forgot about it. And then I think it was like 48 hours later, they said, oh, you've won this auction. The Ferguson brothers, I said, I just bought this car outside of Bend, Oregon. And they're like, oh, we're going out there. You want us to pick it up? I'm like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. And when he came back, Russ gave me a list of everything that was wrong with it, and it was shocking. But you know, at that point, I sort of committed to like not fixing it and saying like, this is not a car that I'm going to restore. I could sink $20,000, $30,000 into this car, and it would only be worth 10. So it's kind of stupid. Well, Quirks, it's like where to start. You know, the steering is not as, it was always slow, but it's extraordinarily slow. The passenger door lock doesn't work. The tack works about 40% of the time. The heat works about 40% of the time. You can send the antenna up, but you can't get it down. I've never opened the trunk. So, I mean, opening the trunk for me is going to be like opening Al Capone's vault. I hope there's nothing in there. Brakes are great. There is no rust. There's a dent on the backside that you can't get out with a plunger. You know, it doesn't have the air, land, and sea. It doesn't have the three-pointed star. I think this is sort of like a anti-capitalist statement. Yeah, the paint is a great kind of representation of the quality of the car throughout. It's just, this car has seen some tough times, but the paint is awesome. I think it came in like 17 shades of tan, gold, brown, champagne. This one is champagne. But this is the color you think of when you think of this car, on that brown spectrum. I think when all the manufacturers benchmark each other so closely, what happens is that they all sort of drift together. That Mercedes-Benzes have more BMW characteristics. They're sharper handling cars, they're faster, they have better body control. But some of what was true to Mercedes-Benz still exists in those cars, but it's really, really noticeable here. This car was about going straight. Not like a muscle car, but it was about stability on the highway. It was a car that was hugely comfortable for long, long drives, but it was not a sports sedan by any stretch of the imagination. But I like it. You know, I'm getting used to the power delivery. I'm getting used to maintaining speed through traffic. I'm getting used to doing all those things that I sort of forgot how to do because modern cars are so exceptional and they are so effortless. This car makes you think, makes you plan, makes you a more responsible adult. You know, there's a sound and a feel and a smell to this car that is distinct and unique. And I just like driving on country roads. You know, this car is very, very happy at 50, 60 miles an hour. One of the great things about Mercedes-Benzes in general, and this car has it too, is that ability to just keep a speed and hold it steady. I think there is something special about a Mercedes diesel and diesel in general. I like the range, I like the torque. I get about 29 miles per gallon in this car. I mean, it is by no stretch of the imagination fast. It is absolutely a dog. I think 0 to 60 time ranges from like 13 seconds to 2 weeks. But there's a feel to the 5-cylinder diesel that kind of belies its very, very low horsepower. It's sort of a luxury car in spite of itself. It's not overtly luxurious. It's luxurious because it's so well built, it's so well engineered, and things are so well thought out. It's not a car that will ever annoy you. There's something very stress-free about it, despite the fact that it is slow. Everything is just very well matched and very, very harmonious in here, despite the fact that, you know, compared with a modern car, it just seems like it's drugged. Yeah, whether we like it or not, cars are sort of avatars for who we want to be, who we want to tell the world we are. It's sort of an idealized version of who the driver wants to be. I think all cars are sort of like that in some way. Certainly with old cars, when you're choosing an old car, you have that freedom to say, what do I want to show the world? And I'm kind of afraid of what this car says about me, but it's solid, it's reliable, it's robust, it's well made, it's got a lot of integrity, and I hope that I represent those values.